Hello, and welcome to the Fall 2020 Esprit reading. I'm Amanda Tolvaisa, this year's Editor-in-Chief. Thank you so much for watching tonight. I'm so excited to share this magazine with you all. Despite facing unique challenges posed by having an entirely virtual semester, the staff really pulled together to create a beautiful magazine for you all. I hope you enjoy it as much as we do. Of course, we couldn't make Esprit without the help of many other people on campus. First, thank you, Dr. Whittaker, our faculty moderator, for always pushing us to improve our editorial skills. We're so grateful for the time and energy you devote to Esprit every semester. Thank you to those published in this issue for sharing your work with us. Getting into the magazine is very difficult, as we accept roughly 20% of submissions each semester, so you should all be very proud of yourselves. I'd also like to thank the people who submitted but did not get into the magazine. We really appreciate your work, and I do love reading all your submissions, and I hope that you all keep submitting. Thank you to my incredible staff. You worked very hard this semester, and I loved every second of it. A huge thank you to Joshua Rudolph for creating this video for us, and a huge thank you to the production staff, who devoted many, many hours to creating this magazine with me. Thank you to my amazing production manager, Mary Purcell. You've been a big help this semester, and I can't wait to work with you more next semester. I'd also like to thank Valerie Clark, who so graciously works with us to print the magazine. And thank you to the professors who promote Esprit to their students. Finally, a big thank you to Melissa Eckenrode. You put in so much work for the magazine, handling check-in to ensure that we can read anonymous submissions, and always being there to help out in case any little problems arise. Now, I'll turn it over to Dr. Whittaker, who will present the awards for tonight. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy the reading.
I am Stephen Whittaker. I'm on the faculty at the University of Scranton, and I am the faculty moderator of Esprit. My compliments to the editors, production staff, everyone involved for a beautiful issue. I get to announce the category awards, and this semester there are 3 beautiful works by, as it happens, seniors. First, in the Graphicus Award area, Jack Golden for Close Self-Portrait. I want to mention that our judge for that award was Darlene Miller Lanning, who teaches at the university and who runs the Hope Horn Gallery. She has BFAs and MFAs in the arts. The Barrier Prose Award goes to Joshua Rudolph for Red Flesh. And that award determination was made by a recent university graduate, Alexis Ward. And she writes a little biographical sketch for us that goes like this. Alexis Ward graduated from the University of Scranton in 2020 with a triple major in English, philosophy, and Asian studies. She was a member of the SGLA program and the honors program. While at the university, she was a staff member for Esprit. She currently lives in rural nowhere, Pennsylvania, where she works from home and continues to write. I may add that she's also an award-winning writer. And the Barrier Poetry Award for Bolted goes to our editor-in-chief, Amanda Tolvaisa, who is also a senior. And the award judge there was last year's editor-in-chief, Catherine Johnson. And Catherine Johnson writes that she graduated from the university in May 2020 with a double major in English and philosophy. She was a member of the SGLA program, served as editor-in-chief of Esprit and production manager of Discourse, and she's currently navigating hybrid learning from the other end as a theology teacher at Holy Redeemer High School in Wilkes-Barre, PA. And I just want to say at the end here that I consider everybody who gets into the magazine to be a winner. It's very competitive. The judges work very hard. The acceptance rate is professionally low. So if you got in, you did brilliantly. So congratulations to all our contributors. Thank you to all our editors and production personnel.
I am neither your daughter nor son. When you try to find this, and I know you will try to find this, Mother tells me I am delayed. Whenever I act out but I was not, taught how to express socially appropriate emotions, and she hates that I jest like the son she didn't want. I was born an orchid, but needed to become the vines I wrapped my throat in, to choke back the words I wish I spat out, instead of pretending to be delicate for her. I wilted my skin to try to find peace in that red honey, because blood is the only thing we all have in common. It doesn't know boy, girl, or anything in between, like family, love, all the lies. She tells me I am hers to bleed forever.
Hi, this is Bodo Johnson, and this is my photograph Tatooine.
Hello, I'm Kasidy Leggin, and this is my story, Green and Black. As he shifts engines and our hovercraft descends toward the glistening pavement, Clay smirks at me. I note the way that his skin bunches at his cheek. You're in for a scrumptious meal tonight, Aiko. It takes me a second. We'll see about that, I say, feigning playfulness as he extends the off-ramps. That is right, Aiko. I forgot which name I told this one. Aiko. If I want a fair chance at a life like his, then no mistakes can be afforded. Every action requires precise calculation. I must remember my name. I must use words like scrumptious. We stroll hand in hand down a promenade. Green-black seawater crashes against the serrated sand dunes of an empty beach. I cannot hear what Clay says to me over the static hiss of the waves. All I can do is smile and nod as I focus on the pressure that I exert on his hand. I try hard not to crush it. Too many calculations at once. I attempt to lose myself in the world around me, staring upwards toward the infinite, starless sky. The surrounding atmosphere fades to a ruddy orange as we near our destination. Just outside, a holographic projection of the restaurant's name scrolls by in bold neon. Gorgeous, I exclaim, mimicking wonderment. The lights are a bit gaudy, he replies. What's really charming is what's inside. He beckons me to enter ahead of him through the automatic door. I glance at his face as I pass. In this moment, I realize how fitting of a name Clay truly is. Every feature of his is wonderfully soft and imperfect, as if it were still wet terracotta just sculpted by an amateur. I am overcome by the realization that he was all up to chance. 2 living blueprints made love, and now here he is. It is obvious why they reject the idea of me. I feel something like fear, or perhaps like disgust. Once seated, I analyze the room and draw a conclusion about its aesthetic value. It acts as an elegy for a bygone era, with recreations of famous paintings hanging on vermilion walls and plasma lights imitating primitive wax candles. Clay engages me in banal conversation as we await service. He loosens his tie, and his cheeks are flush with beautiful, warm blood. I smile in an attempt to remedy what I believe may be anxiety in him. I myself feel something comparable to unease. As Clay orders, he refuses to look at the waitress. He must know by her profession that she is synthetic. Yet he does not avert his gaze from me. The discomfort does not stem from inherent repulsion. It is a learned response, and thus more dangerous. Our waitress stares at me for 5 seconds after I complete my order. Our food arrives as Clay finishes relaying an anecdote from his childhood. This is the hardest I have ever pretended to laugh. He can barely speak between fits of giggling. Once he buries his face into his hands, I dip a finger in my glass of water and draw streaks below each of my eyelids. You're so hilarious, I lie. He regains his composure before speaking to me through a mouthful of food. How about you, Aiko? Any funny vignettes from your childhood? This is new. I realized that I never interacted with a person for so long without revealing what I am. My struggle to find the proper words for a false childhood must have manifested physically, because he asks me if I am all right. I apologize and blame my behavior on a negative reaction to the undisturbed, scrumptious meal resting before me. He appears confused. I am making careless mistakes. I excuse myself, but I stand too quickly and inadvertently brush my arm past my glass of water. In something like a panic, I grab the glass before it falls, and it breaks in my hand, shredding my synthetic skin to expose the translucent fiberglass blood vessels within. I experience an offshoot of embarrassment as green-black coolant fluid rushes out of my wrist. I just wanted to live. Furious shouting is directed at me, but I cannot comprehend the words. The chance to be alive, like him. A child sobs at a nearby table. But again, it slips away like shattered glass between my fingertips. I feel something almost like pain. Too many calculations. I feel nothing. A server calls the police. I wanted a chance to be, but now I see that all of the bytes decode the same string. Life isn't meant to be fair. Thank you.
Hello, this is Nia Long, and I'll be reading my poem, Ravishment of the Perennial Bloom. I smell the growing mold on the walls of my laundry room, where I played as a child. The soft skin of my blood-flushed cheek reads the stippled walls like braille on raw fingertips, roughly forced to acknowledge my truth, your truth. I can almost see where my brother and I ran our sticky paint-dipped fingers over our eggshell walls, composing a vibrant microcosm of our innocent minds. Bitter hypocrisy as I lose mine. Your hands remind me of the fly in the corner of the room, tangled in a delicate arachnid silk, struggling to break free. The coils of my hair forcing your fingers deeper with each recoil. I try to focus on that pitiful fly losing its battle with the trembles of its ruined body. I watch its wings crimp and bend and its legs deform until it freezes in time. I freeze too. I close my eyes instead and think of when we drifted through the botanical gardens on our first trip outside of our small town. I entangled myself in the drifting wisps of a willow as I chased the golden rays that pierced the branches and thin leaves. You followed me into the fairy-like web and entered into this fey land of our own making. Your arms intertwined around my waist as your soft breath teased the vellus hairs of the back of my neck. The same feeling as now, but this time it's perverted. Your breath is ice traveling up my spine, tensing my nerves, freezing my soul. Your hands crush my vertebrae and stifle my breath. The pressure of your body against mine is quantifiably the same as the day in the gardens, but your stomach pushes deeply on my back. But I'm being crushed now under this weight of disbelief. The pain creeps in as my cheek is rhythmically thrust against the rugged textured wall. My tachycardic heart is working in opposition to the overwhelming feeling of detached passivity. My body defies my silent pleas for deliverance. I can see my childhood painting clearly now through distorting tears. It is screaming to me now. I see my brother and I dancing playfully around the room, streaking bright paints with each twirl of our slight bodies. Our concentric streams of color remind me of the world I envisioned as a girl, a world where young women prance through fields of flowers and are wrapped in warm embraces by their gentle, dashing prince. I think I see my young self staring at me from that painted realm. She sheds a tear for me as my envisioned world is scraped away like the tender skin of my cheek, mutilated like my throbbing corpse-like frame.
Hi, my name is Dominic Finan, and this is my painting, Rogues.
Hi, this is Bodo, and I'm going to be reading an excerpt from my short story, Mission Log. Mission Log. The Company. The captain called together the company on the afternoon of Thursday. The team was composed of a hand-selected crew of only the best and most trusted men and women. The assembled were as follows. Jeremy J.J. Jones, 42 inches, 37 pounds, munitions expert, 5.5 years. Louisa Lou Miller, 46 inches, 44 pounds, scout and strategist, 6 years. Tyrone Ty Allen, 44 inches, 45 pounds, medical, 6 years. Brady Twinkie Till, 46 inches, 54 pounds, culinary specialist and negotiator, 5.5 years. Finn Cap McGee, 45 inches, 43 pounds, captain and camouflage specialist, 5.75 years. The mission. On the afternoon of Wednesday, Comrade Killian Tristan Anders, 44 inches, 46 pounds, cartographer, 6 years, was sent on a solo reconnaissance mission. His task? To expand the unit's maps from Myrtle Lane to the surrounding areas. Records recovered leading up to the time of his disappearance show a mission full of unexpected complications, including one mail truck, one street sweeper, and the one old, farsighted, and disagreeable Mr. Delaney. Anders failed to return from his mission, and neither his equipment nor an updated map were returned to base camp. The captain, through his own secret channels, came to discover that the cause of his disappearance was the result of a neighborhood complaint and parental intrusion. Due to the personal nature of the situation, the complaint was not shared with the company at the time. Scout and strategist Lieu completed a quick survey of the neighborhood and came to believe that Anders was being held in 871 Myrtle Lane. The plan. The captain and the strategist devised the plan with the help of their cartographer's completed maps, previously completed reconnaissance missions, and the captain's extensive knowledge of 871 Myrtle Lane due to his particularly close relationship with the missing member. The plan is as follows. Phase 1. Cross the backyards to reach 871 Myrtle Lane. Foreseeable difficulties include Mrs. Duquesne's wall and Mary's mother's rose bushes. Phase 2. Enter 871 Myrtle Lane through the ground level window and retrieve Killian Tristan Anders. Foreseeable difficulties include Mr. Anders, volatile teenager Max Anders, and the mother. Phase 3. Swift return to base camp via Myrtle Lane. Debrief. Inventory. After the mission brief and a half-hour recess to gather supplies, the company reassembled to take stock of and evenly distribute the equipment. The captain retrieved and took responsibility for Anders' completed maps. Lieu bought a coil of knotted jump ropes, crucial for Phase 1. Ty supplied a box of waterproof band-aids and a brand new squeeze tube of Neosporin. JJ brought 3 Nerf rifles with 5 darts, and Twinkie supplied the tub of I can't believe it's not butter, crucial for Phase 2 of the operation, as well as the rations for the unit. Along with their own supplies, each member filled their book bag, their fanny pack, or their Halloween pumpkin with 1 apple, 1 tasty cake, and 1 bag of extra cheddar goldfish crackers. Camouflage. After taking inventory, the captain camouflaged the face, legs, and arms of each member of his team, using potting soil, water from the rain barrel, and crafting paints in red and blue. Phase 1. The company began the campaign from the base camp and was immediately met with foreseeable difficulty number 1. The 6-foot wall separating the captain's backyard from Mrs. Duquesne's. Naturally, the captain has made frequent use of the height of this wall to survey the surrounding neighborhood and has constructed on his side an elaborate ladder for swift and easy ascent. The company gathered atop the brick wall, tied one end of the knotted jump ropes around the waist of the smallest member, and moved to lower him slowly over the wall. Unfortunately, due to the urgent nature of the mission, no time had been set aside to test the strength of these knots. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed.
I'm Amanda Tolvaisa, and this is Bolted. I'd never seen a corn maze until 2 years ago, and I discovered you can be born in the wrong place. My fingers, tongue tickled by the suckling cow, pined to pucker. For years I've wandered, single file through grocery aisles. Now, numb to the meat on meat, when I make it to the produce and find piles of severed ears, my fingers curl, tickled by memory.
Hello, this is Nia Long, and this is my photograph, Linus's Fall Festivities.
Hello, my name is Joshua Rudolph, and I will be reading the beginning of the story, Red Flesh. Maybe I'll ask, what is there about me to know? I stand 15 centimeters behind Bernie, who stands 15 centimeters behind a stranger. These cues dominate their cultural environment. About 3 years ago, Parliament funded a national museum of queuing and waiting adjacent activities, from what I understand. The brief I watched included prayer as a WAA. Architect Jules Legrand designed the museum as one massive queue leading to the gift shop. The NMQWAA and projects like it started springing up after it became tradition for the Queen to reject the sovereign grant. The London smog hangs thick over the massive pastel blue sphere in front of us. It looks like the top of the Vatican, reflecting cool light onto the cracked concrete under the queuers. Bernie turns his body to me, feet in precisely the same spot as he hits the 180 and says, "I don't smell the vinegar yet." He stands taller than me, gaunt and too white-haired for 24. His glasses fall off when he speaks in his vague amalgam of UK accents because he stands at a hunch. We're probably too far away. You don't smell vinegar in your kitchen unless you open the bottle, right? He laughs. No, but there's a hell of a lot more vinegar here than my kitchen. A synthesized bell sounds from the front of the queue. Everyone steps forward exactly into place. I stumble. It's like our national religion. You'll get the hang of it, Bernie says. I want to have a question prepared before I get there. I don't want to look like an idiot in front of the baby. I peer over Bernie's shoulder at the other queuers. A couple ahead of us faces each other like Bernie and I. They hold hands over the 15-centimeter distance, fingers loosely draped together as if reciting vows. He calls her Sarah and asks her to always keep him in mind. His eyes trace the cracks in the concrete. Maybe I'd ask something about that, whether there's someone I'm compatible with. But how to phrase it such that it could be answered on objective data, I don't know. Bernie's eyes go skyward as he rambles about old memories, breaking my concentration. He passes through memories of IIT Acceptance Day, of the blind design contest we got paired up for. He rambles on, recounting freshman glory. My mind wanders further back. When I first needed a background check with the UN, a long and disastrous process. When Sandy Koufax broke my heart at a middle school dance. My first Lego set, a Burger King. Maybe something in my past needed to be answered for. An advertisement blares over the entrance of the Sphere. Kraft singles, now with trial-size Kraft hand soap and trial-size Starbucks instant. Does Kraft own Starbucks? Or do they just do grocer distribution like they do for Taco Bell? Maybe I'd ask, why do I know that Kraft distributes Taco Bell grocer products? Or more empirically, at what point can it be demonstrated that I could have processed information allowing me to know that Kraft distributes Taco Bell products? I realize we're at the front of the line when two security guards with Kraft patches on their jackets wand us over. I see the last four of my UN number flash on the wand. They push us past the gateway and into the Sphere. The queue stretches all the way to a smaller, matte black sphere inside. Real grass grows everywhere but the concrete slabs confined within velvet ropes. Flying billboards flicker photographs, ads, and QR codes atop buzzing drones. People take out their phones and scan codes, deals, and discounts at the Kraft vending machines that line the sides of the queue. Maybe I'd ask about expected increases in Kraft's revenue from all these sponsorships. A woman sounds over the speaker system. Hello, one and all. Welcome to the Pre-Baby Procedural, hosted in the Pre-Baby Megasphere and Q Station by Jules Legrand. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Jack Golden. My first piece is titled Wild Dog. My second piece is titled Purebred Caterpillar. My third is titled Close Self-Portrait.
Hello again, this is Nia, and I will be reading my poem, Dances in the Achromatic. They ask her, what does it feel like? With her eyes closed, all she sees is a cliché photo of a beach at dusk, as soft light glimmers on the white sand. Slow rolling waves bathe the shoreline, while in the corner, a dark log protrudes from the ocean's edge. The protuberance, an unpalatable addition to the homogeneous unity, and she is that log. She says it feels like nothing, I don't even notice it. She does? She does? Does she? An onyx swaddle teases her skin with its warmth, less of a tease than the warmth lying beside her, while moonlight streams in with the glistening of her cocoa skin, her darkened eyes reflecting the light off his ivory hands clasped. Head pressed against his chest that catches a few tears that trickle in the dark. The cool wetness reminds her of dark salted concrete with glimmering, glass-like slicks, where her face pressed against the rough pebbles of broken cement and shattered dignity. The bitterness bites, rubble depresses, but ignorant insolence slices. Searing eyes. Pain trickles down with every wish he could melt. Skin intermixing with the black ground, hidden and protected. She melts into him instead, but no, she can't. She can't. But can she? Moonlight captures their souls in a dance protected against the eggshell walls of her mind, expanding with each sway and bend of the shadow of her curly locks, the only giveaway of something awry. Liquid puddles in the cavity of his chest. Her heartbeat calls to her in painful comprehension as shadows waltz around them, not giving away the complexion that betrays her. They melt together in pigmented homogeneity.
Hi, my name is Sarah Leskovich. I'm a sophomore neuroscience and biomathematics double major, and this is my poem Untitled. Only in pressed eyes exists a breathtaking sky. Why can I not stare?
Hi, my name is Nick, and this is my poem titled Locked in Winter Nights. You cycle through folds of picture books. In them you find love, and scarves your grandma sewed with kisses and hugs, and your mother's teddy given to you. And together you care, for you are hers and he is yours. Lo, what is it to adore? The warmth of fuzzy mittens and snuggly socks, pressed on toes and fingers, tender and soft.
I'm Amanda Tolvaisa. This is Breaking Skin. When I was 7, my brother showed me a skeleton, a frail bird no bigger than my palm. The sidewalk singed my legs as I knelt over the thing, the warm scent of rot not bothering me as much as it should have. After an hour of heated speculation, had it been murdered by a cat? Was it pushed from the nest too young? My brother returned to the house, unable to bear the stench and sweat any longer. I stayed, tracing the connection from bone to bone with my eyes, then my hands. Eventually, I worked up the nerve to hold it. I slid my right hand beneath it, and with the other nudged it onto my palm. A few careful minutes later, I cradled the bird. My nerves had little to react to, it was so light. I could barely feel the bones resting against my skin, but that made me even more fascinated. I stroked its tiny head over and over. Each pass of my fingers removed a layer of decay, until the spot over its eye socket gleamed. It looked so beautiful, I knew I had to polish the rest of the bones, to reveal the brightness of this bird to the world. In my piece, I had failed to notice sundown, so when my mother tapped my shoulder to bring me inside, I startled and dropped my treasure. I bent to grab the broken bones, but my mother yanked me back, yelling about how I would get a disease and how could I be so idiotic as to touch that disgusting carcass. I yelled right back, a wordless shriek that intensified as she drew me away from the bird. "Shut up, Camilla," she cried. I shrieked. I tried to run, but she pulled me against her. She dragged me into the house and locked the door before I could wriggle free, and my tiny hands balled into the fabric of her skirt. My tears burned a path down my cheeks. I kicked at her legs, but kept tangling my foot in the skirt. Enraged, I pulled on it. A satisfying tear resounded through the hall. We both froze. She pushed me off of her, looking down at her ruined skirt. Except it looked perfectly fine. There was no great tear, not even a minor rip. We both glanced at my hands. They held nothing. I noticed it first. The top of my pinky finger lay almost completely sideways, pointing towards my other hand. Thank you.
Hi, this is Bodo Johnson, and this is my photograph Schichten.
I'm Sarah Steck, and this is a letter to my fellow insomniac. Dear E, I don't remember the last thing you said to me. Only the fact that there was, in fact, a last thing. Of course, we've talked a lot since that time, whenever that time was. But I don't remember the last words, the feelings that came with them, that marked the end of it all. I guess it's hard to find the words anymore. It's no one's fault, I don't think. Dr. L would quote his long thought-out philosophical assertion that human beings are shit communicators. I dropped out of pre-med today. I couldn't take the strain of it. I knew that it would never be enough. For some reason, I thought it might be. But I've found that a person's title says little about their soul, their ability to touch another, Remember when I told you how the slender fingers lifted the blade, slicing the silvery ligament that rolled back into ribboning pieces, like the one I wore in my hair, the one you held between your fingers? I told you the act of it was beautiful, that surely one could never be so intimate as to be physically in another's flesh without affecting that person at their core. I never told you that I went back to that place, to the bodies moving mechanically through mastered motions, to the eyes that saw only the raw anatomy, to the acrid smell of fresh blood that poured over the gloved hands. I never told you how I realized there is no meaning here, how I came to focus on the wrinkled hand, draped in a lifeless fashion over the table, the palms ruddy and scraped, the fingernails outlined with dirt. I couldn't stop staring at the dirt, the dust accumulating in the nail ridges. Where was it from? How had it gotten there? And didn't the owner of these fingers know they should be washed before going into a doctor's office? Or had they been deprived of that nurturing figure, chasing them out the door with a wet rag with which to give a good scrubbing to the face, neck, and fingernails? I always wondered why the hands. You wanted your life to be meaningful. You thought if you could only find happiness. But you told me once that happiness exists only in moments, minutes, seconds. Ephemeral was the word you used. I think for a moment I was happy. There was a night. Was it a morning? I can never tell. But you'll have to trust that my inconsistency in story is merely a mind slipping in and out of a fluid-like state, and not evidence of my lack of commitment to be an honest person. There was a time when the words fell easily from our breath, like the warm air the engine forced out of your car's vents, and I listened as the cold sounds crowded the alleyway outside. The radio channel failed, and the air around us was warmed by the resonating fuzz. My mind sank into it. Your hair fell over your glasses frames, and I thought about never moving it. I thought it felt happy. Zoe came home. Do you know her? I don't think you do, except from what I told you. I told you she worried me. She'd been gone so long, lost so touch. They wondered why I kept reaching out. I didn't tell them she was the only one who understood the importance of the hands. You lifted your eyes and rolled your wrist as the ladybug moved out of your palm and came to rest on your thumbnail. I thought about what mark it might leave there, or whether it would leave a mark at all. I thought about the draped hand, the dirt. There was a night you called me. It was 3 a.m. I'm staying away from labeling the hours now. When I answered, I wanted to tell you about the hands, the blood, the dirty fingers. But we let the silence fill the concealed line that connected us, and my mind relaxed, knowing it could rest here. With love, M.
Near the house my papa built. He drowned, embraced by the water, an accident, she told me, and breathless death the first time he felt truly free from the pipes and wires. He was becoming the house he built, waves decaying and eroding his foundation. Every year we reinforced again, didn't want it to collapse. Found him floating, Nana thought. He was a boat. The Neversail had a hole in it, only saw water once, when my father was a kid, until it retired below the ramp my uncle installed, so Papa could wheel himself onto the porch. Lost his battle with ALS, is all we were told. Prior to, it was a miracle he was still standing. 4 strokes later and tired, he knew that exact moment his body would hit the cold water and go limp.
That concludes tonight's reading. Thank you so much for tuning in. The link for the online copy of the magazine is in the description. Have a wonderful night, and thank you all again.